The Simpsons broke a lot of ground when the series first premiered back in 1989. Thanks to its incredible success, series creator Matt Groening was able to get another project of his own off the ground a decade later. That project was Futurama, one of the best written and most beloved science fiction series ever made. Sadly, Futurama was cancelled twice. Even with cancellations, however, the series was brought back and given a proper send-off with a series finale. Over the course of its 7 seasons consisting of 140 episodes, Futurama managed to delve into sci-fi and animated comedy in ways The Simpsons could never dream of. While The Simpsons has a lot going for it, there are some aspects of Futurama that make the series a bit better than its progenitor. This isn't to say The Simpsons isn't fantastic, it absolutely is, but it can't do everything perfectly, which leaves room for Futurama to shine. My name is Ori, this is What Culture, and these are the 10 things Futurama did better than The Simpsons. Number 10, linear storytelling. The Simpsons has been around for over 30 years, but with 31 seasons and more than 680 episodes and counting, there hasn't been much linear storytelling. Sure, you have characters like Sideshow Bob coming up from time to time, indicating he has been off doing something other than attempting to kill Bart. But that's about it. Over at Futurama, linear storytelling is the name of the game. The series began with Fry getting frozen in a cryogenics laboratory and continued in real time from the year 2999 until the series concluded in the year 3013. Those dates mirror somewhat the actual dates the series ran, 1999 to 2013, only 1,000 years in the future. Through the course of the show, the characters grow and develop from beginning to end. Fry's involvement with Leela progressed, Zoidberg got a girl, and Bender learned some valuable lessons. At the end of an episode, things aren't reset to the way they were before. There was a joke about that at the end of When Aliens Attack, which featured a great deal of destruction. The damage remained as Fry joked that it was just a matter of knowing the secret of all television. At the end of the episode, everything is back to normal. Number 9, character development. If you watch a season 1 episode of The Simpsons and shoot forward to the 29th season, the characters are pretty much the same. Homer is still a loving idiot, Bart is a rambunctious preteen, Lisa is smart, Marge is the caring matriarch, and Maggie hasn't uttered more than a couple words. One of the reasons The Simpsons has been so successful is that the characters remain familiar after almost 30 years. Sure, Lisa's a vegetarian now, and a few things have changed, but the family today is still the family it was in 1989. Futurama handled character development far differently from The Simpsons. Zoidberg may still be a disgusting lobster monster from outer space, but his story evolved to tell the tale of a sensitive man who cared deeply for the people close to him. Fry and Leela's relationship was the most developed of all the characters' interactions. Their will they or won't they mashup finally came to be in a series conclusion that not only offered a full lifetime of development, but the opportunity for them to go back and do it again. Compared to The Simpsons, Futurama's devotion to character development places it in a league of its own. Number 8, more intelligent humour. The Simpsons has featured a bevy of intelligent writers, but the focus has always been on the laughs and contemporary issues. When it comes to Futurama, the focus was more on intelligent humour. While the series appealed to a wide audience, those with an education and better understanding of physics and mathematics had a few more laughs than the rest of us. One running gag on the show involved the use of an alien language featuring hidden messages. Now this was cracked soon after the show aired, which prompted the writers to come up with a newer, harder substitution cipher alien language to keep fans guessing. That wasn't the only Easter egg for the eggheads. There were many more spread throughout the series. Several of the writers held PhDs in applied mathematics, resulting in the development of theorems and papers written for the show. The Futurama theorem, also called the Keeler theorem, was created to achieve a plot point, but went on to inspire further legitimate mathematical research. There was even a joke featuring that theorem in the episode, The Prisoner of Bender, where the professor declared they would have to solve their problem using math, and they did exactly that. Number 7, heart-wrenching storytelling. Find anyone who didn't weep at least a single tear during the episode featuring Fry's dog, and you may have found a sociopath. It's not easy to create a heart-wrenching storyline in an animated comedy, but the writers for Futurama pulled it off several times. The Simpsons has had its fair share of well-written episodes, some of which might have even made Bender cry, but not to the level of Futurama. Because the characters were so well developed and the creators open to change them, the show was able to better serve up stories of loss, regret, and love in a way The Simpsons could never achieve. Fry's dog was a sad story, but there were others spread about that made it easy to care for and fall in love with the characters. For most of the series, the audience was led to believe Leela was an alien, but it turned out she was a mutant who was abandoned to the orphanarium to be raised above ground. It then transpired that her parents not only loved her, they watched over their daughter her entire life. The last few minutes of the episode showing how they were there for her made more than a few viewers ugly cry into their couch pillows, including myself, but don't tell anybody. Number 6, the irony. Oh god, the irony. One of the underlying themes spread across the entire series of Futurama was irony. Just about everything that was presented wasn't truly what it was. Or, as Bender sang it in The Devil's Hands Are Idle Playthings, the use of words expressing something other than their literal intention. Now that is irony. Bender is probably the best example of irony personified in the series. Often, he is referred to as a cold mechanical robot, devoid of emotions and entirely unempathetic to his friends and the people around him. Despite his nature, he is a loving and caring friend who bawls like a baby when he is sad, got addicted to electricity, and has the biggest ego a character could possibly have in the history of fiction. Other characters are equally ironic throughout the show, while some are exactly what they appear. When it comes to The Simpsons and irony, it's certainly an aspect of the series, but it isn't done to the same level as Futurama, which masterfully used the concept throughout the series. Number 5, the setting. There are a number of differences related to the setting of both The Simpsons and Futurama. The Simpsons is set in Springfield, a town just like every town in America. It appears to be static, but changes whenever the story needs it to. New York is similar, but the scenery of Futurama changes constantly thanks to space travel. The reason the setting for Futurama is better than Springfield for The Simpsons has to do with the way it remains contemporary while still existing in the future. This gave the writers an opportunity their peers lacked while working on The Simpsons. Throughout the series, the writers clearly had a lot of fun exploring the setting of New York. They created the ruins of old New York, which remained below the newer city. They even had an episode about Fry scoring billions of dollars in interest, which led him to reinvent his 20th century lifestyle 1,000 years in the future. Ultimately, the comparison in setting comes down to how much creativity the writers had. Springfield has to remain somewhat grounded in reality, while New York can be however the writers wanted. Number 4, science fiction done right. If you watch only a handful of episodes of The Simpsons, you will find that it is a treasure trove of pop culture references. The creators clearly have a love for Stanley Kubrick's work, and pretty much whatever is popular at the time. But Futurama has an edge in one department: science fiction. Because the series is based in the future, it has the unique opportunity to spoof, parody, and pay homage to every sci-fi property ever made, and that's exactly what Futurama did. An entire episode was devoted to the classic and my sci-fi favourite, Star Trek, even featuring the voice talents of every member of the series who was still alive at the time. They even killed a red shirt and covered half a dozen other references in that one episode. Other references include tributes to Isaac Asimov's iRobot, Soylent Green, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Planet of the Apes, H.G. Wells' Time Machine, and much, much more. It's fair to say The Simpsons could have worked in many of these references had the series been based in sci-fi, but Futurama holds that advantage, which is one of the reasons the series was so beloved by fans of the genre. Number 3, less interested in social commentary. One of the things The Simpsons does best is cover whatever may be happening in the zeitgeist in a relatively timely manner. That's impressive given the show is animated and takes months to complete a single episode. When it comes to Futurama, the series is less concerned with the goings-on in the world and more focused on its characters. While this sets the two series apart, it allowed Futurama to maintain its focus in a way The Simpsons can't. What worked for one series wouldn't work for the other. But this isn't something Futurama suffered from, it's something the series was better for lacking. Futurama told the story of its characters without focusing on some crazy new law or politician making their rounds in the United States. Whatever new drug may have been popular or issues related to sexism in the media remained the property of The Simpsons, while Futurama focused on Planet Express and the folks working there. Number 2, adult themes. This point is something of a fine line because The Simpsons has never shied away from depicting adult humour. The differences are slight, but when it comes to choosing the series that did it best, Futurama takes the lead. When we first met Bender, he's about to kill himself in a suicide booth Fry mistook for a public telephone. This was the first episode. But it didn't stick to simply joking about suicide. The episode continued to delve into alcoholism and the nature of free will. As the series progressed, Futurama had no problem bringing up the topic of drug abuse, prostitution, gambling, excessive drinking, smoking, burglary, slavery, sexuality, robosexuality, and just about anything else you can think of that would cause parents to decree that Bender should not be allowed to be on TV. They did an episode about that too. The Simpsons have dealt with a number of these topics as well, but it is ultimately a family sitcom. Sure, it caused a lot of problems with parents back in the early 90s, but compared to what it's doing now and what Futurama got away with, it's rather tame in comparison. And number 1, Bender Bending Rodriguez. If you watch The Simpsons and then hop on over to check out Futurama, you will find a great many analogues for each character. Bender is something of a combination of Homer, Barney, and Bart. But when you get right down to it, Bender is his own unique character. He is so much a part of the series, he gets his own entry on the list. The show appears to be about Fry and his adventures in the 31st century, but much of the action revolves around Bender, with a good chunk of the episode entirely surrounding him and his actions. Bender has the most fleshed out and deepest character. He possesses the most character flaws, but disregards them or doesn't see them. He has an ego that drove an entire civilization into ruin, and his action removed humanity from a literal heaven. It's impossible to compare anyone on The Simpsons simply because there is no comparison. Homer has similar traits, to be sure, but everything Homer can do, Bender can do better, worse, and far funnier. As your favorite 31st century robot puts it himself, Bender is great, and there really is no way to dispute that. And there you have it, that is our list of 10 things Futurama did better than The Simpsons. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more great content like this. My name is Ori with an A, and this is What Culture. And don't forget to be good, but if you can't be good, be careful.